For our third question, we would like to ask how can understanding an employee's learning style help him or her be more successful in the workplace? To answer this question, we first must understand how learning styles work. When it comes to learning styles, there are four sensory modalities that relate to these learning styles. The first is visual, which 40% of Americans fall into this category. This means they learn better based on sight and basically learning based on pictures and seeing things. Then there are auditory learners, which is 20 to 30% of Americans, and this means that they learn best based on hearing. The next is tactile or touch learning and kinesthetic or doing learning, which involves 30 to 40% of Americans, and this is basically being able to do things or feel things in a certain way in order to learn them the best. According to David Kolb, there are also four basic actual learning styles and types of learners. These learners are convergers, and they depend on active experimentation and abstract conceptualization, divergers, who depend on concrete experience and reflective observation, assimilators, who depend on abstract conceptualization and reflective observation, and accommodators, who depend on active experimentation and concrete experience. It's important to understand your sensory modalities and which basic learning style you are so you can figure out how to learn best both in the classroom and when you become an employee one day for a company. An example of this might be since I consider myself more of a tactile or kinesthetic learner, I might be more of an accommodator because active experimentation and concrete experience most likely rely more on actually doing things and experimenting and understanding how things work, which is basically how I like to operate. This can help me learn both in the classroom and also understand in the future what I may need to do to learn better in regards to my job. There is also learning style orientation. Annette Towler and Robert Ditboy developed five key factors to learning styles to address limitations of Kolb's prior research. They discovered discovery learning, which is an inclination for exploration during learning, experiential learning, which is a desire for hands on approach to instruction, observational learning, a preference for external stimuli, such as demonstration and diagrams to help facilitate learning, structured learning, which is a preference for processing strategies such as taking notes, writing down task steps, and so forth and such. And there's also group learning, which is a preference to work with others while learning. It's also important to understand these because, as our professor has said in class, he's not much of a group learner, so odds are he may be more of either a discovery learner or experiential learner, which can therefore help him discover how he can learn things better rather than trying to work with a group to actually learn things. For an example of why this information is so important, I have actually taken an online test through educationplanner.org and have discovered that I am a 60% tactile and kinesthetic learner. I learn best through touch and actually doing things, and I actually need to figure things out on my own. This is useful because when it comes to studying and discovering what kind of job I really want, I now know that doing things myself and actually touching things and experimenting with things is what interests me and what helps me learn things and will help me in the future with a job. This all makes sense to me also because I'm actually an athlete here, which means I need to move around a lot, and I like moving around a lot. So maybe for a job, if I do something with numbers, I at least need to move around, or maybe I can work in some sort of business that relates to sports or has me doing something involved that's active or in athletics. This can also be important to you because you can now maybe go and take a test, one of these tests, and discover what kind of learner you are and why it's important and what kind of job it can take you to. To summarize our project now, everything ties together. Employers allocate employees based on their individual characteristics, which is type A and type B personalities. This then goes on to relate to the big five personality traits, which can help people earn success by recognizing what traits they have and which they can work on. And it can help employers succeed once they are allocated based on their personality. This is important because knowing which type of employee you are can help you determine where you'll end up if you do take a position, what kind of position you would want to take. And then knowing what big five personality traits you have can help you determine what you are successful with and what you might need to work on to become a better employee. Learning styles then come into play by helping employees learn more about their careers and help them succeed by learning from their mistakes. Knowing how you learn can help you learn how to discover what mistakes you may make in the future and also how to learn from these mistakes so that way you don't make them again when it comes to both school and your future career. It is therefore important to understand your personality type, which big five personalities you are dominant in, and your learning style to determine which job suits you best and how to succeed in this position. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask now.